All right, hey guys, so we're going to talk about how to succeed in the flipped classroom, or really any other learning experience. So we're going to go through some different sections involved in this. So the first thing we want to talk about is basically the flipped philosophy. Why are we kind of changing the traditional method of the way you're used to learning and doing something different? Well, the first thing is that 21st century skills and standards are addressed, so this helps you to become ready for life after high school, no matter what that is that you decide to do. College, trade school, community college, workforce, whatever. And we're hoping that this relates to how you learn. So in this age of technology where you're always connected to your cell phone, your computer, your tablet, this kind of uses some of those tools, and hopefully you'll find that it's a good way for you to learn. So the other reason is that value is placed on learning, not grades. There's way too much emphasis on grades, and Mr. Diamond, I think you'll agree with me on this.
I would agree with you.
We want you to exit high school learning some content, and not only learning content, but learning skills for how to be successful no matter what you decide to do outside of high school. So hopefully you're going to gain some of that through this type of learning method. So the basic premise of flipped, it flips the order in which things are done. Normally you would receive lecture in a classroom and work on homework at home. This flips that. So based on the premise, the information can be gained from any source. You can get information from a teacher, a book, the internet, your peers, your parents, whoever. The problem comes in when you are trying to apply the information. That's what requires the support, and that's what we want you to work on in class and doing the information gaining outside of class. So it kind of flips the order of things. And so this application is where we come in, and this is where we're here to help and support you.
Okay, guys, so we're going to talk about some of the steps we're going to take a look at. First thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about the pretest, what you'll do before you even begin a unit in our classroom. Of course, that's a pretest. I'm going to obtain some information. How do we obtain our information? That can be through videos, books, different information, just like we talked about before. Apply the practice. How do we use it? How do we learn this information? That's what the practice is for. And then we demonstrate mastery of learning. How do we demonstrate we've learned it? This is the part that's a little different from what you're used to.
Okay, so the next part, so before we get into all that, we want to talk about how do you organize all of these steps and all the stuff that you need to do to learn. So you're going to get a unit outline for every unit. And so basically it gives you the objective number, and these could be numbers or letters, the objective, what are you trying to learn for each part of the unit. Here's your reference material. So listed here you've got the section in the book, the name of the video, maybe a Khan Academy or any other resource that you can think of to get information. Then we've got required activities, and you may have some options here on what activities you can choose from this list. A completed date, and so this is what we're going to use to make sure that you are checking off your activities as you go through.
And guys, remember here, we want you to go in order down here. When you're going down the completed date, that doesn't mean do 4 and then come see us. No, it means do 1, then see us. That's the important piece here.
Yeah, and these are organized for a specific reason. Usually you need objective number 1 before you can do objective number 4. Now we want to be flexible, and you figure out the best way for you to learn, but there's a reason they are in this order. And the last part are supplemental activities. And Mr. Diamond will talk on this a little bit more as we get through. But let's say that you take this assessment and it doesn't go very well for you. Well, then maybe you need to do some of these supplemental activities before moving on to the next section to make sure that you have demonstrated mastery over this objective.
Okay, guys, keep in mind, required activities you have to do. Supplemental, that's if you need more practice.
Right.
Okay, and it's okay to need more practice. I know some of you guys don't like going back, doing things and looking at things more. But that's what you have to do sometimes if you're going to learn this.
Right, exactly. And really the focus is on learning, not just checking off the activities. And you have to decide if you need to go back and do a supplemental activity or not.
All right, so let's talk about the pretests and how those pretests work. One of the pretests that we need to do is an assessment to show you and me or Mrs. Wachowski or your teacher what you know and what you don't know about this certain topic. I mean, it could be, you may be very well versed with it and understand it well. You may not. It's okay either way here. It provides the ability to test out of specific standards, and what we mean by that is if you really know a topic really well, we're not going to make you learn it again. We're going to move you on.
Because remember, it's all about learning, not checking the activities. So if you can already demonstrate mastery, then you're good to go.
Nope. Oh, sorry. I slipped on that. Gives a baseline for direction. What it does is it tells us what you're understanding, how much you know when you're learning, and it also gives you a student progress chart, meaning that you're following your own learning and tracking the progress that you have. All right, so this is your student progress chart. You see the student progress chart, of course, at the top has your name and the period that you're in, of course, the class, because it may be a different class. But the big part of this is you'll notice that in the graph, you'll take your pre-assessment and you'll get your score. That score is our feedback to you and how much you know. You'll put your score in there, whether it be a 0 to 4 point scale or a 0 to 10 point scale, whatever it is, you'll mark your chart there. Then you're going to give yourself a goal. What would I like to score here? Do I want a perfect 10? Do I want a 7? Do I want an 8? Hopefully you all want 10s. At that point, you're going to push forward and start working through. Remember when I told you that you have to do them in order. These are the lessons you'll do, A through J in this case. You'll go ahead and mark that. And as you get your scores and your feedback from us, you'll put them in there to track your progress and how close you get and when you're ready for the next summer. So this thing is a good tool for you to track your progress, not only us.
Okay, so the next part, once you've taken the pretest, is now to determine what you still need to obtain information on. So the first part of this usually involves a video, but you can't just watch the video and space out like you do when you watch TV. You're not going to gain any information.
Or take notes in class.
Or take notes in class during lecture. We all know that happens. Don't think it doesn't. And so you need to actively watch the video, which means to use the tools on the video, such as pause, rewind, fast forward. Maybe you don't want to listen to us the whole time. I can't really imagine that, but maybe you don't want to. Or what we're talking about you already understand, so you can fast forward. Maybe we talk too fast and you need to rewind and go back, or pause in case you want to write something down. So you have those tools available to you. Make sure you utilize them. If the video doesn't satisfy you as far as the information that you need, seek out additional information through various sources. Remember, you're in charge of your own learning. So if you need more information, go and get that information. We're going to talk about some different ways to take notes. You really need to take notes while you're watching the video. That's part of the actively part. And you also need to include a summary. The summary is what is, number one, a good writing skill. It's good to be able to summarize things. Number two, it helps us to determine whether or not you got the main points from the video. And there are a couple different note types that we're going to talk about. So the first one are Cornell notes. So as you can see at the top here, we've got the date that you can put in and the topic. Now these will be available to you on Edmodo should you want to use this format, but you could use your own 2-column notes as well. That's basically what these are. The only difference between this and Cornell notes and a 2-column note is this question section. Because we're not in a lecture setting, you won't be able to raise your hand and ask a question. But you can pause the video, write down your question, and then when we're going through the summary and the notes together, that's a perfect time to get your question answered. Okay, so some of these notes have some outline stuff in here, or an example for you to show your work then, and here's the all-important summary. Please don't skip this part, it's really important.
Alright guys, so another form you can use is mind maps. I've had students in the past that really like these. In fact, I went to college with a guy, the only way he ever took notes was through a mind map. And the way a mind map works is you'll have a main topic in the center. For example, in this case, the main topic is a mind map on a mind map. So from here, he's got the center in the mind map with his picture of his little mind. And then he puts words that are important to the other side, to down in the red. Up above, you'll see paper, which is green. Lines where he connects them, how the thickness work, color. So he's got several different ideas here on how to make a mind map. But remember, the center is the main topic. So for example, if we're studying faults, faults in the earth, you're going to make the center piece earth faults, and then you're going to build on your information from here. This is an example of a mind map.
And so, if you're relating this to like an outline, this would be like your center idea. Here's your main ideas. Is that kind of right?
Yep.
And then you've got all your sub-level ideas off to the side. So this would definitely be a good way to take notes. And also keep in mind, if you watch that video once and you don't get all the information, you can always go back and watch that video as many times as you want. And I know you're just going to want to because you're going to want to see us that often. But you can watch that video as many times as you want. Okay, so now we're going to introduce, give you an example and model.
You're going to get a chance to see Mrs. Wachowski actively taking some notes on a video, and then we'll move on from there.
Or maybe a guest appearance by someone else. Okay.
Okay. Here we go. I'm going to
Alright,
learn
hello.
on
So we
limiting
are going to start
reactants.
with the third section of Chapter 9, looking at limiting reactants. So we're going to take all the information that we have learned from Section 1 and 2 with mole ratios and then incorporating mass, and now we're going to apply it to looking at all the reactants in the
Before I get started, I want to put in here what the topic is on my 2-column notes so that I can go back and remember that later on.
equation and determining which one might be limiting or controlling the reaction. Okay, so a stoichiometric mixture is a mixture that contains the relative amounts of reactants that matches the numbers in the balanced equation. So what this means is that all the reactants are completely used up. It's exactly with the mole ratio.
I have no idea what this word is, but I am going to write it down. Stoichiometric mixture, and write down the definition
In your words.
in my own words. A mixture that contains the relevant amounts of reactants that matches the numbers in the balanced equation. Okay.
Of the balanced equation, nothing will be left over. It's like perfect, but we don't live in a perfect world, so this rarely happens. And so we have limiting reactants. And so limiting reactants are the one that runs out first. It limits the amount of product that can form. And so once it's gone, the reaction stops, and that's it. And so it's really important to determine which reactant is limiting because that
Okay,
controls
hold
the
on.
rest
I
of
want
the
to go back
reaction.
because I
and
forgot
thus
what she
your-
said.
And so we have limiting reactants. And so limiting reactants are the one that runs out first. It limits the amount of...
Okay, so now I'm going to write my main idea, or my summary, including my main ideas, in my own words.
Okay, so the next part is to practice and apply your information. So now you've gained the information, now we need to put it into play here and actually use it to learn something. So like we talked about before with the outline, required activities must be completed, but supplemental activities are used for additional learning if mastery isn't demonstrated on the assessment. And this is, something we will kind of support you with, but also, if you feel like you need more practice, please use those supplemental activities or any other resource that you can think of to get more help. Labs are considered required activities, and make sure that throughout this process you are using your time wisely and academically. Think about what you can accomplish at home versus what you can accomplish at school. Just because we're kind of giving you time to work on things at school does not mean that you don't have to do anything at home. For some students, they can accomplish the work in a quick enough amount of time and learn the material and not have to do things at home, but that's not the norm. So think about, what can you do at home? Maybe you can watch notes at home. Maybe you can work on your lab report at home. And then at school, maybe you get your questions answered. You work on homework because you know you're going to need help with it, things like that. So making sure to use your time wisely.
And keep in mind, guys, that you cannot do the lab at home. Not normally, anyway, especially Mr. Wachowski's class. So make sure you're saving that time in class to do those labs.
Yeah, very good point. Yeah, watch the pre-lab video at home and then maybe come to school ready to complete the lab.
All right, and speaking of labs, we're going to take a look at labs with the pre-lab video. Most videos will have a pre-lab. It'll be one of us sitting there talking to you through the lab, giving you instructions, giving you a demonstration of what needs to happen in your lab. That doesn't mean we're doing the lab for you. It's giving you the opportunity to see what you have to do. If you have to go back several times, I encourage you to do that. It'll include where you find the equipment in the classroom, where we have it set up, and what the lab is about, stuff like that. Labs must be submitted on Edmodo. We both want you to do that. This gives us a record of when you've done it. We're able to give you feedback there, and we can go back and look if we need to. Things happen where we missed stuff, putting it down for the grade book. This gives you a record, and you've always got it there for you. Collaborating with colleagues. This is where you work together. You exchange ideas, not copy each other. That's not what we're after. Remember, the important piece is that you're learning, not your partner. Okay? You balance ideas off of each other, work together that way.
And in the workplace, collaboration is used all the time.
Absolutely. Look what we're doing right here.
Yeah, but everyone gets their own credit and puts it in their own words. And so we're going to demonstrate this for you.
And labs must follow the lab report format. So we'll give you the lab report format. You'll follow through them. That's how you'll submit on Edmodo.
Okay, so now we're going to show you an example of how to do the Access Edmodo. Watch the pre-lab video, conduct the lab, and collaborate with a colleague. I need to get to Edmodo first, and if this is the first time that you are creating an account on Edmodo, you'll want to click on I'm a Student. You'll need the group code for your class. So for the physics class that we're going to access the lab, the group code is 504QZY, so you just put in whatever group code you've got. Then I need my username. Come up with something you're going to remember. I need my password. Again, something you're going to remember. Email and first and last name are optional, but they're always a good idea. I would just use school. And then this is whatever's going to show up for your profile. And then you need to agree to the privacy policy, and you can always read that if you need to, and then you would sign up. Alright, so I've got my group code, my username, and my password, and everything else, so now I'm going to sign up. Okay, and without that group code, you're not going to be able to access anything for the class. Okay, so now I'm at the general physics class. As you add more classes, you'll see them all over here, so you can access all your classes for Edmodo at the same time. Now I'm looking for chapter 34 and 35 labs. So these are your assignments, and here's the video I'm going to watch. So this is one way that you can access the videos through Edmodo. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is take notes on my video.
Alright guys, for this first lab you're going to be working on making simple electric circuits. You notice that the problem that it offers you is bulbs, batteries and bulbs can be connected together so that the bulbs light up. When the bulbs light up, you have made an electric circuit. An electric current flows through the bulb to make an electric circuit.
Okay, so now I'm going to use the notes I took from the pre-lab video to conduct the lab. Okay, so I'm trying to set up this simple circuit, so I want my battery. It's already in my battery holder, so I'm going to put that into the pegs just like they talked about in the lab. Okay, and then I want to connect that to my battery, so here's my light bulb in my light bulb holder and my Jiffy clips. So I know from the video I wanted to attach one lead of the battery to one lead on the light bulb. Get back in there. And then basically complete the circuit by connecting from the light bulb to the other end on the battery. And if I made a circuit and it stays connected, I should have light. Okay, so Mr. Diamond and I have both completed the lab, and now we're going to talk about, we're going to collaborate together on how to do the lab report. So we both have our notes, and so the first part of the lab is the purpose. So I think the purpose was, we're looking at simple circuits, what is connected together. Do you think that we should talk about parallel circuits too, or is that?
I think at this point we're just looking to make a complete circuit, and that's all we're looking for at this point.
Okay, so all right, so we can do the purpose for that, and then I think, procedure, we're probably okay. Just summarize the steps.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Now you notice that when we do our collaboration, even though we are talking about this, we're not taking each other's ideas. I mean, Mrs. Wachowski may talk about parallel circuits, and that was the purpose, whereas I thought it was just a simple circuit. That's fine. The idea here is that we're able to see what you did, not what your partner did. Okay? You collaborate, exchange ideas, and then write your report on your own.
Yeah. So you guys, we can talk about it together, and maybe I was wrong on the
parallel circuit.
Thank you. The parallel circuit part. And so we talked about that, and we got it worked out. But Mr. Diamond, didn't just write his purpose, and I didn't just copy it or take his complete idea and put it into my words. That would still be considered copying or cheating. So you guys can talk about it together, but it should be your own.
Now remember, we're looking at what you learned, not what your partner learned, okay, or not what you learned together, what you learned, okay? That's what's important here.
All right, so along with collaborating with a colleague, it's really important to be able to work together to help each other learn. So within these classes, we're kind of already changing the whole traditional way that things are taught. So please don't expect to, sit in the same seat every day. We're going to group you based on where you are at in the unit. So it makes sense to sit with other people who are at the same place that you are. Sometimes waiting for your friends or having them catch up to you is not the best idea. Hey, we're going to become a learning community. That's the goal. Hey, everyone in here can be your friend, and you can work with everyone in here. So don't just pick a couple of people that you want to work with, and that be it. Okay? In the workplace and anywhere else, you've got to get used to working with other people and to accomplish a single goal. Okay, the second part of this is how to ask questions. Okay, it doesn't do you any good to sit at your seat and hold your hand up for 5 minutes. Not only does the blood rush from your hand, but you're going to get bored and not do anything.
And think about it, guys. We have as many as 30 kids in a class. We may not get to you when you demand it. So take the initiative, do it yourself. Come up with these answers.
Okay, so the first thing that you can do when asking questions is to consult your notes. You spent the time actively watching this video. I'm sure the answer's in there. There's no surprises here. Then you need to show evidence that you have tried the problem on your own. And I'm sure Mr. Diamond will agree with me. There's nothing more frustrating than helping someone when they haven't even tried it on their own. If you ask a question and your paper is blank, we're going to expect you to have tried it on your own first.
Yeah, don't raise your hand and come to me and say, I don't get it. My next question is going to be, what don't you get? And then you're going to say the whole thing, and I'm going to say, go back to your notes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So avoid all of that. Just look at your notes first. Then you should collaborate with a colleague, because we're going to sit in groups based on where you're at in the unit. Find another group who maybe has done this already, and don't just get the answer from them, but ask some questions. And groups who are ahead, this responsibility falls on you too. If you just give someone else the answer, no one's learning anything, and I can guarantee you that we're not going to appreciate that very much. So help each other out. Take the time out to help someone else. It's going to help you learn it better. Okay, then and only then, please seek assistance from the teacher. It's not that we don't want to help you. That is not what we're trying to say here. But remember, if you go back to our philosophy, the goal here is for you to become independent and be able to be successful after high school, and that's what this involves. Okay, you can get assistance from us in several ways. In class, before or after school, so make that effort to come in if you need the extra help. Email us, contact us on Edmodo, go to ELO. You have so many options. You should always be able to get your questions answered.
Okay, there's really no excuse to say, I don't understand this, or I can't answer that. That's on you if you've decided to make that choice. Come see us. Just let us know. We're there to help you.
Yeah, and we really are here to help you, but we want you to be responsible and be in charge of your own learning, and we're here to support you with that. Okay, so here's a video on modeling asking questions.
I really don't get this. Oh, I guess I could look at my notes. Still not sure. Hey, do you guys get how to do this?
Which one are you on?
Number 5?
Well, I was starting to struggle on that myself, but I thought I would ask Tim here for some help.
Well, if you look right here in the book, I was taking notes on it. I thought that it was supposed to be like this.
No, I don't think
I'm not
that's
sure
working
about
out
that.
right. Or working out right there, though.
Maybe we should ask the teacher.
All right, you guys need some help with this?
We do.
Yeah.
We're struggling.
All right, so mastery learning, we've talked about it, and you've probably heard teachers in the past talk about it, but what do they mean by that? The way it works in our classes is once you've done all the required activities, and this is the labs, and I will say the labs are a must. You have to complete those. And you feel ready to take the assessment, we're going to give you an assessment. Now, that assessment is to tell us what you've learned and show us what you know. This is your chance to shine and show off. If mastery is achieved, you'll get at least a 7.5 or a 75%, usually a 7.5 out of 10. That means you've learned enough to probably move on. If you're less than that, you probably haven't learned enough. You need to go back and look at some of the supplemental activities, or go back and look at the activities that you already did. This is going to give you more information on what you've messed up on, or where you need to learn a little better.
Yeah, and that way you can be successful when you move on to the next subject.
Remember, everything builds on science, so we want to make sure you're getting all that. All right, and if you haven't reached that, of course, go back to those supplemental activities. There's additional practices. Sometimes you may have gone through a couple of these supplementals, but that doesn't mean you can't go out and find information you understand a little better on this topic. At a certain point, though, we do have a drop-dead date. And what I mean by drop-dead date is you've taken too much time to learn this. The class has moved on far too ahead, and at this point, it's just drop dead. You need to stop there and catch up and get moving. So this is too late.
Yeah, and we don't want you to be 2 or 3 chapters behind. That really makes an impact on your grade at the end of the semester. If you're doing all the right things, if you're coming in for help, if you're behind, if you're using class time wisely, this shouldn't even be an issue for you. But we do need to have it in place just to make sure that everybody does keep on track.
And you've all probably done it where you've been rushed through trying to get things into the last semester. Well, I'm here to tell you, our grade books are going to have drop-dead dates, and after that point, we won't take anything. All you're going to be working on is finishing your final. So don't let this happen to you.
Yeah.
All right. Remember, you're responsible for your learning. This all goes back to you. We're here to help you. We're here to guide you through this information, but you're the one that's responsible for what you learn. You're not just trying to get through my class. You're learning what's going on in this class. Working ahead's okay, as long as you have the mastery material behind it. Okay, you have to be able to demonstrate it. Don't go ahead to the next section without the quiz. You'll see in your outlines that there'll be points for quiz. If you get to the point you're doing homework on the weekend, you hit that quiz point. Sorry guys, that's as far as you can go. Okay, we don't want you to get too far ahead and lose the information that you've learned.
And you don't want to do homework all weekend anyway.
Yeah, who does that?
Okay, so along with this mastery learning goes standard-based grading. And so basically what we mean by this is that we're not going to give credit for just doing work. A lot of times for homework assignments or any other activities, answers will be given because we want you to use those answers as a guide to make sure you're on the right track. So we're not really going to give credit for that kind of stuff anymore. So you need to demonstrate mastery of the learning objectives, and that's when you're going to get credit. This enables you to get tons of feedback on labs, quizzes, assignments. Hopefully, we'll be having lots of discussions about content so you can get questions answered and hopefully have a gauge of where you're at within the content. You can always improve your grade. Let's say you take a quiz and you don't really demonstrate mastery of an objectives and you do some supplemental problems, and when you take the test, you ace it. Well, then that's going to improve your grade, so you always have that opportunity. Required activities and quizzes are basically just a check to see where you're at in your learning. Remember, we're here to support you. These things are here for you to see where you're at in your learning. And then assessments or tests are where the mastery of the learning is to be demonstrated and where you can receive credit.
Okay, guys, and remember, just because you're not getting credit for everything you do in class doesn't mean it's not valuable.
Absolutely.
It's probably far more valuable because you get the opportunity to learn what you do need to know. That's what we've set these classes up to be like.
Yeah, that's a really important point, Mr. Diamond. And again, remember, just like we talked about, you're responsible for your learning. We're here to support you, but in the end, you're the one who has to do the work. And we want to make sure that you exit here with good skills to learn whatever it is that you want to do after high school.
All right, so some potential problems that we find that our students have run into along the way. They get behind. It's the kiss of death, guys. You cannot get behind with this. When we give you those dates and those drop-dead dates, you've got to meet them. It's just like the real world. You get a job, your boss is going to give you a drop-dead date that you have to finish something. Nothing changes here. This includes sports and vacations. You decide you have to be out for a sporting event. Hey, we're both coaches. We both want you out there. But the thing of it is, you know what you need to do. This is where that homework piece comes in. Oh, I said the H word. And don't forget, vacations during the middle of the school year, your family may decide to do that, but that's not an excuse. You still know what you need to do.
And you should have this outline and all these activities ahead of time so you can plan ahead for that. If you know you're going to be gone for a week-long vacation, then work ahead so that you can leave on that vacation, enjoy it, or sport activity or whatever, and come back and not be behind.
Yeah,
so this is where the responsibility piece comes in.
Absolutely. Think about that. How many times you've gone to a teacher and said, I'm going to be gone this day. What am I going to miss? Well, you know what you're going to miss in our class. You just have to look ahead on your curriculum. All right. Mastery is not being achieved. This is the other part. Sometimes students get to the point where they just really struggle to learn it. We're here to help you. We're going to make as many accommodations to help you get that learned. But sometimes it's just a tough subject, and you may have to just maybe get a little older. And a year makes a big difference in the next science class. So we'll try to help you through that. But effort goes a long ways in this.
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure you're taking that responsibility for yourself.
All right. Because everybody works at a different pace, differentiation is possible, and we can help you with modifications. So if you need a little adjustment on what it is, or you have a modification and you know you need to have, let us know. We can help you through those things. And remember, you're responsible for your learning. Do you see the trend here?
Yeah, it seems like we've talked about that a lot.
How does that come up?
So yeah, make sure that, if you need help with any of this, that you are asking us, because that's what we are here for, is to help and support you. But you're still going to be doing the work. We're here to help you with it. Okay, so now we've got some testimonials from other students on things that they have discovered really helped them. So we'll let you guys watch those.
Hi guys. Some advice I would have for you would be don't procrastinate. Get your stuff done when you need it to, because at the end of the semester it will hurt you instead of help you.
Make deadlines for yourself and always keep them.
Make sure you have that one friend that's always caught up so you can get caught up. They're really a blessing from the Lord.
Keep yourselves on task and always, I don't know, just help each other out. I think that's the best way to do it.
And if you have any questions, don't be scared to ask questions, because if you go through the homeworks and everything and you don't understand what you're doing, and then you go to take the quizzes or take the tests, you will fail.
So come in the morning or whenever you can.
Plan period, lunch, after school.
Whenever you have free time. So she's really good about helping you when you come in on your own time too.
Good luck.
Have fun in chemistry.
Advice we would like to give the upcoming chemistry students is to not slack off and
to finish strong.
So this is day 280 of chem. It's been a hard year. It's been tough, but we just have some tips to help you remember to survive this chemistry class, because you may die.
Chemistry survival is not as easy as it seems. Get your work done, don't slack off. If you fall behind, you're going to be out of luck for a long time.
And just remember, get your own stuff done before you help anybody else, because you're more important than those other slackers.
Yeah, survival of the fittest. They came up with that term for a reason.
So get your stuff done and then help other people if you want to, or just get ahead and then not have to worry about anything.
You're on to us. Let's go.
I suggest you don't slack off for next year. Keep your game up, keep doing what you need to do, and stay till date.
To be successful in chemistry, you have to take your notes, or else you're going to be behind like Tanner and slacking off.
It's just like a basketball game. When you slack off, it's hard to get back up.
So for next year's class, the advice I would give is you guys need to stay on top of your work and not procrastinate and actually do your work. Yeah. Also, don't talk back. Don't do crazy stuff. Don't try anything on Ms. Wachowski. She's pretty smart. Take your assigned seat. That's where you're going to stay. Make sure you sit by good people. Don't try to sit with some hood rats or something and they're going to cheat off you. Don't cheat, Don't sit by people that are going to take up time and distract you from classwork. You need to use your time wisely.
Yes, just sitting by smart people, asking for help, and you don't get the material, I would get it down because it's hard.
Very
and
important.
stay on top of your work.
Yeah.
If you let it pile up, you're going to go downhill.
And you guys just need to get used to the way that Ms. Wachowski teaches. She has her way of teaching, and you guys need to get accustomed to it instead of complaining about it.
Not everything's gonna go your way, okay? Sometimes you gotta adapt.
Adapt and do your work. That's the key
to life. The end.
Amen.
There you go.
Don't slack off.
Okay, Jordan, what advice would you give to next year's CP chemistry class?
Do your work and pay attention and always stay on task, because you might end up like me, not having a good grade and always having to catch up, and just do your work.
Okay, what was your favorite part about chemistry? Do you have one?
Probably like all my friends in the class, because I had a lot of friends and that was pretty fun.
Do you think maybe that added to your demise?
Probably. I wouldn't doubt it.
Okay, anything else you want to say?
Stay on task and it'll be fun, and you can get a good grade if you try.
Cool. Okay, so now that you've seen the student testimonials, just some final thoughts on this whole process. Remember, learning is difficult and it takes time. The goal here is not just to check off all those objective boxes and say, hey, I completed the class. The goal is to learn. When I was in college as a senior, we had to do a senior design project, and we had to basically incorporate everything we learned in the last 4 years. And I had really good grades. I had no problem with college. I studied. I memorized stuff, basically. When I got to that project, I realized I really hadn't learned a whole lot, and I didn't know where to start, and we don't want you to be in that position.
Yeah, I didn't really learn to learn until I was in college myself. We're trying to prevent that for you, so you know how to learn when you get to that professor.
Yeah, and so just remember, it is difficult and takes time, but it is worth your time, and it can be very rewarding when you finally have worked hard at something and realize that you can learn it and understand it. Unfortunately, however, there are no shortcuts to the learning process. You're going to have to go through the process and, spend the time. Unfortunately, there are very few people who just learn really quickly, and I know I'm not one of those people. And so,
yeah, and it's just like fixing an engine in a car. You have to go through the steps or it's just not going to happen. You have those extra bolts left over. We don't want to leave extra bolts out for you on this one.
Hey, and like we've been talking about, these are skills that can be applied to whatever you decide to do out of high school. We would love for you to learn science content, chemistry, earth science, physics. All those things are really important. But more importantly, we want you to gain skills for how to learn so you can take that with you wherever you go.
Yep.